And that was a snippet from Wild Heart off Kristen Ford's new album, Pinto. She is coming to co-headline at Uncommon Ground on July 10th. And joining us now is none other than singer-songwriter Kristen Ford. Hello, Kristen.
Hello.
Hello,
Happy
Kristen.
brunch day.
Happy brunch day to you, too. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm at a women's festival right now in Wisconsin, and I'm just all topped up on that lesbian love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Makes me feel good in my heart.
What festival? I know we don't have the Women's Music Festival we used to have for years in Michigan. What festival is going on in Wisconsin?
It's called National Women's Music Festival.
Oh.
And it's very inclusive, so it's not too, I want everybody in the rainbow to get to hang out together. So
Sure.
I like that about this festival. And I think it's their 49th year. So a lot to learn from the elders
All
who
right.
had to blaze the trail that I get to just strut on down.
Right on. We
So
appreciate it.
how long have you been on the road?
I left June 5th with a one-way ticket, and I've been bouncing around the country ever since.
All right, fantastic. Well, we're excited that you're going to be coming back to Chicago on the 10th at Uncommon Ground.
Yeah.
How would you describe your sound?
I would say I play indie rock, soul, folk, pop, but it's just music. I love playing guitar. It's like guitar-based songs, and this upcoming album was co-produced by Ani DeFranco, who was a huge influence of mine coming up. So, kind of have that lean, and then also working with John Driscoll Hopkins, who's in Zach Brown Band. So he kind of has that like multi-platinum view to his mixing and his production, but then he's also this Southern dude with like a huge shrine to the Indigo Girls in his recording studio. So you just never know who people are when you actually get to know them.
That's
and
true.
I guess I struggle with genreing music.
So
I just love music.
So Ani DeFranco was a big influence. Who were some of your other earliest influences when you first started playing?
That's a great question. I loved Radiohead. I mean, I kind of wish they still wrote songs rather than like bleep loops.
Tell it.
And I remember discovering a certain plant that you smoke and Led Zeppelin about the same time.
Oh, okay.
me
in
too.
high school,
We can call
and
it
being
pot.
I was told by my
Sorry,
publicist to
marijuana.
wash
We
my
can
mouth.
call it. Oh, never mind. No, stop talking.
It's legal in Illinois now, right?
Yes, it's legal now.
Yes,
Sorry, I
it's
was just
legal.
getting
Okay.
clarification about what we can and
That's
cannot
great.
say.
And,
Anyway.
I would say that just the Chicago rock scene was actually a big influence on me. I went to college in Chicago, and I had a fake ID to get to go to different shows, and I was always at, like, the Empty Bottle and
Oh, great.
Shoe Bus and whoever would have me, and I would always try to, like, I never had any money, so I would try to just, like, sneak in. And, come on, the show's already started. Like, let me in. So, live music is really special.
Oh, yeah. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Columbia College, and I dropped out as well, just like all the best.
Come on,
Cool.
come on there. I love the fact that you are just also like unapologetically queer. You put your queerness front and center. Can you tell us the story behind the creation of Wild Heart, which was the song that we played at the top of the segment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved to LA a year ago, but prior to that, I was living in Nashville for 8 years. I moved down there for the music scene, and they put a drag ban up where it was illegal to perform in drag, to do any like library events for kids, and it just infuriated me to my core, where the Wild Heart kind of just came out of me, and I was just starting to work with Ani on some collaborations, and she actually co-wrote that song and helped me finish it, and you can hear her singing backgrounds, and I think there is a whole village, a whole community, and right now it feels like the trans community are at the front lines, but
They're in the crosshairs.
I saw a great shirt that was in the, light blue, light pink and white colors that said, "You got to come through me." And I think that's a feeling that's shared with a lot of the LGBT QIA community right now. Is like, don't scapegoat these folks who are already have their own struggles, but we can stand together. And I think Wildheart is hopefully finding some joy and just scream at the top of your lungs, like, "You can't control me.
Yeah.
F waiting on you, I'm out here on the edge."
Yeah.
And, so it's a rallying cry that I needed, feeling like I was swimming against the current of Nashville, and then moving out to LA. Now it seems like I go on tour and either the city bursts into flames or I left on tour this time, and then it's the whole National Guard protester mess. So I don't know. I guess I hold Los Angeles together. You're welcome. But I am out on tour, so we got to do the thing.
We do. We got to do the thing. You got to send out that message, because I think it's one that resonates with so many people these days. There is this sort of. I think I was reading a review about your husky honeyed vocals, which I could not think of a better way. Husky honey vocals.
That's a good.
I love that. But there's something about the power of traveling around, touring the country, playing the song, getting that message across to help, make a difference, to inspire people and to ignite that flame that's going on there. So wait, why are you from Nashville? Is that why you chose to go there, or?
I grew up moving around a lot, and I think it prepared me almost like in utero to be a touring musician.
Right.
But I learned a lot in Nashville about recording, about songwriting. I think I became a better musician for it. And, I kind of consider myself I'm most comfortable on stage, as cliche as that sounds, but anywhere I am, I just try to make that my home. And oftentimes if I'm wherever air quote home is for too long, I get really weird.
I gotta go. Wanderlust. You gotta move.
So it's beautiful touring around, and also I just did a show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and that's part of my activism. Is I want to go places that aren't just the Bay Area in New York City, but go play Huntsville, Alabama, where they're not even allowed to write Pride on the flyer, and they're not allowed to call it a drag show. They have to call it a performance, which this is insane, the times that we're living in. But I appreciate, I guess you just see in the hustle, because it is about reaching people where they are. And if I can make one person's day better, if I can have one melody hang out in your brain rent-free, I'm so thrilled with that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry, the reason I keep bringing about I brought up Nashville is just as from one queer person to another one. I lived in Memphis for 8 years.
Okay.
And I was just kind of wondering what your experience in the South has been. I mean, of course, Nashville.
It's a bubble. It's a bit of a bubble.
It's a bit of a bubble, but it's much more red than I think people understand. But of course, it is it's kind of if you are a musician, you go to Nashville. If you want to do comedy, you go to Chicago to get your all of that things. How was your time in Nashville? Not just with your music, but in terms of you as a queer person.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, I had an amazing experience in Nashville. There were certain sort of, I guess, microaggressions that I kind of felt. I wrote the song White Man's Dream about that experience, which wound up, it was kind of, there's a laundry list of complaints, honestly.
Right.
Being misunderstood. But that wound up being the song that got me signed and got Ani interested in collaborating. So I'm very grateful to it. But, I think there's good people everywhere. And Kenny Chesney goes to the juice bar and is vegan, sometimes. And then the songs are about Bud Lights and trucks, but if you actually get to know the artists or the creatives behind it, there's a lot of nuance to our identities. And I feel like someone who's traveled all over, and I grew up in Massachusetts, which is very liberal, and you don't have to actually explain why you are liberal, because you're and you're just right. And everyone else is stupid and wrong. So I think in a way it's nice to have these conversations and maybe an electric car isn't the best idea. You know, you have that conversation with the AAA tow truck driver and you have a broadened perspective. And I love meeting people, and I consider myself kind of a bridge builder. Maybe that's the last name Ford. You know, you got to connect things. And I hope that I can do that with my music, because if folk music, if activism is just save the whales, preaching to the choir, then you're not actually going to move the needle with that. Not like a song that, can stick to your bones a bit.
Right. So just so I understand, I'm a musician as well, and I have a lot of musician friends that have migrated to Nashville. Did you feel that the microaggressions were from people outside of the musician community? I mean, were the other musicians from all their different walks of life, were they welcoming and to you and appreciative of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I got to work with so many great songwriters and studio musicians, and this whole world of how the songwriting business works kind of became apparent to me. And I'm endorsed by a company called Gallagher Guitars, and I actually wrote to them and I said, hey, you don't have any women on your roster, you don't have any people of color, and you don't have any queer people, so I'm your hat trick. What do you think?
There you go, right?
And then they wound up building me a guitar with dinosaur bone inlay and my initials in it, and I love Gallagher Guitars. They're my family. So
Gallagher, you said Gallagher Guitars, so people that want to support the brand. Okay, cool. Gallagher
absolutely,
Guitars.
they're really great. They only make probably 100 guitars a year, right in Middle Tennessee. So, sometimes it's just about reaching out, but there's also, I have a friend who literally was sat down by a major label and they said, we're not signing any more women. We already signed one this year.
Yeah.
And the only feedback they had was that she should grow something between her legs and, put a baseball cap on. And I think I just got really fed up with it being seemingly so easy for so many people. And then other folks to just, it's not so much that they're going to be hateful to you. They're just not going to call you. You're just not going to get the gig. You're not going to get the airplay. And here we are on lovely, out radio. Again, the community is looking after itself. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Well, of course. Well, thank you for what you're doing. And especially with the new album, Pinto, that's coming up. So you got to work with Ani DeFranco on this album. What was that experience like?
Oh, she's amazing. I had this almost spiritual experience seeing her play when I was 15, and I thought, that's what I want to do with my life. I had just started playing guitar, and then it took 20 years for us to finally meet in the same time and place. But Ani is a really special person. If folks have sort of fallen off her music since the 90s, I mean, her new record is like Bon Iver, and it's wild. It's like bending what's possible in terms of production. And she's just such an active listener, and she's such a person who, when she says she's going to do something, she does it. And I'm like a blabbermouth people pleaser, so that is very inspiring to me. And just in getting to tour with her, being on the tour bus and opening for a string of shows, just watching the way that she had moved through sound check I was learning just volumes and volumes about how to maximize your time and how to work with other people. And she's a rare breed, and I don't really know how I got so lucky, but I'm trying to rise to the occasion and give it all I got.
Absolutely. But I don't think it was almost a spiritual moment there. I think it definitely was a spiritual. No, you have those moments where you kind of leave your body and you're like, oh, you transcend into something. And how lucky. And now the result is the album Pinto. What was the kind of vibe that you were going with for the album Pinto?
Yeah, I think it's 12 songs, and I kind of think about the spirit of a wild horse, there's actually a horse named Picasso who lives out in actually this horse unfortunately passed away, but he was out in this like wild horse reserve in New Mexico, Colorado area, and just like you can see scars all over this horse, and you can see there's a wisdom, there's a wildness, there's like you run with the herd, but then you also might need to like break off, and there's maybe a distrust there as well as like a gentleness. I've always loved horses. I grew up riding, and on and off I worked in Wyoming as a wrangler leading trail rides around the mountains, and there's just something about horses that I'm like I feel a deep resonance with. So I think Pinto, the record, it was like we narrowed down so many songs. I went through probably 1,000 voice memos over the last 8 years of song ideas and wrote some on the spot. And, it's just, I think it's a really beautiful journey. And I've always struggled with ordering the record, like which song comes in what order. And Ani just was like, how about this? And it was perfect.
Yes.
The suggestion. So
sequencing a record is an art. People think it's easy to do, but it really takes a lot of thought and a lot of, really working on how each song is going to flow into the next. So yeah, that's cool that she helped with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and like when you can make every song overproduced, you can make every song have 1,000 million things. How to know that nuance of what to add and when to hold back, and I'm really proud of this record. I think it's leaps and bounds above anything I've done before. So
I was looking.
You'll have to listen to it. I guess
we're gonna listen. Righteous Babe Records, of course, Ani's label. She's collaborated with you. I notice on the page, on the web page, you are sandwiched in between two of my favorite new Righteous Babe artists, Joy Clark and Lily Lewis. Is there ever any other collaboration among the artists on Righteous Babe?
I literally was on stage with Joy Clark last night, and I was chatting with her about her lead guitar philosophy. Because when I first saw Joy, I thought of her as like an acoustic guitarist, and then I saw her play electric guitar, and then that destroyed that idea for me. I was like, okay, she's a shredder.
Yeah,
Hendrix.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something that Righteous Babe is really special. It's not the biggest label, but the artists who are on it, we really collaborate. We come together. I'm doing a few dates in the Northeast with Jocelyn McKenzie, who's also on the label.
Yep.
And Lily Lewis, I've seen her around different festivals throughout the years, and I ran sound a few years ago in Nashville at a very hot outdoor event that Lily played. So,
wow. Yeah,
we all hanging out together.
I love that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
I love that. Solidarity.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, the album is Pinto. And by the way, the album cover is genius because you look like a dream, and the horse looks amazing. But what really got me is if you check out the shadow of the horse, it looks like you are riding the horse from the shadow. So I'm sitting there going I know, I'll point that out to you, but I sat there, I'm like, oh man, like what a really cool concept, especially knowing like you're like the spirit of the album. You gotta go check it out. The album again is Pinto, and the force of nature is Kristen Ford. Don't miss her show at Uncommon Ground on July 10th. For tickets, head to uncommonground.com. You can just head to the events page. Kristen Ford, what a treat to be able to speak with you, hear about your journey, and we cannot wait to see you on the 10th at Uncommon Ground.
Fantastic.
I'm so stoked. Thank you for taking the time to chat and promote the show. And yeah, that horse really did run by me to get that album cover. The photographer was like in the dirt. I was worried.
Yeah.
Okay, if her face gets trampled, I'm not going to be okay.
But at least she'll get the shot.
That's all that matters.
We got the shot.
All right. Well, enjoy Chicago.
We cannot wait to see you. Kristen Ford. Keep on inspiring and activism and just rocking out and doing your thing.
Big love. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Take care.
Bye, Kristen.